So ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be reviewing the FEKON REV X 125, which is a scooter made by FEKON Motorcycles. FEKON REV X 125. It is called the REV X 125. So this motorcycle is equipped with a beautiful finishing, like you can see. Very beautiful finishing. It comes with a very large back tire, and the dimension of the tire is 13 by 60 by 18. 13 by 60 by 18 tire, which is pretty good much of a motorcycle. And the Chinese have put a lot into this motorcycle. If you can see this, there's a lot of technology put into this motorcycle, and it is sold at an amount of 71,000 pesos and above, which is pretty much a very reasonable amount for a motorcycle of this magnitude. Putting in something of this magnitude and selling for 71,000 and above, which is very much cheaper than many other brands that you can have in the market, especially with the tire of this size on a FEKON, and a very sophisticated front shock, unlike that of some of other brands, which I don't want to call names. Smaller brands are more expensive. And there's also one thing about this motorcycle is the flarings. The flarings on this motorcycle are very beautiful. Look at the front finishing of this motorcycle, FEKON REV X 125 by FEKON Motorcycles. I would love to do this as a disclaimer. I'm not doing this advert for FEKON Motorcycles. No, this is actually one of my first reviews. I've already had a lot of motorcycles. I've rode a lot of them. And this is just one of them that I want to review, so that anybody out there who wants to get a motorcycle can go ahead and get something like this for themselves. If you really are somebody who loves a motorcycle that has a good height clearance, look at this clearance, guys. It has a kind of clearance that you cannot imagine on a scooter of this nature. It has a very good clearance when it comes to the bottom part of it. It is pretty well equipped, and you see this brake in here. Very well equipped brakes for a scooter of this nature. The brake is very good. This is one of those very fast brake units that I have rode before. I've really had a lot of motorcycles. I've tested a lot of them, but this one had an impressive performance when it comes to the brakes. And look at this finishing lights here. Look at the headlights. Very pretty lights on this motorcycle. The night driving is pretty good, which I can attest to it, because I'm a night rider. I ride every night. It is a pretty smooth running unit that you will see in the market for that price. And also when you check here, the engine bay, very pretty, well made, smooth. In as much as I bring the advantages and the beauty of the motorcycle, I will not also forget the fact that I cannot attest to how durable, how strong the motorcycle is, how much time it can last. Other brands, maybe Japanese brands, a lot of them, you can attest to how long they last. But for this one, it's a Chinese brand. Even though it's like one of those premium Chinese brands, it's not just one of those cheap ones. Yes, it's one of the premium Chinese brands, but I can't tell how long it can last. But it is a pretty very well finished Chinese piece of motorcycle. The FEKON REV X 125. I don't know about other FEKON motorcycles, because I haven't. With time, I'm going to be reviewing other models, maybe bigger ones. But this for now, this is actually one that I'm able to lay hands on. Look at that steering right there, sturdy, pretty, very pretty. Has a pretty finish. The side mirrors, pretty. You don't need to change them to something that looks better, because the side mirrors are already like stock one from the market, like an aftermarket side mirrors, which is pretty good. Look at this space in front. If you are somebody who has maybe a child or you want to carry things around, that space is pretty enough for you. And also, if you are very tall, yeah, this is a motorcycle that you want to get if you don't have too much money to get, for example, too much money for you to get a maxi scooter that is so big. This is already enough because it gives you both comfort, it gives you both stability on the road, and it also gives you some speed, because I was able to push the speed limit to 100 kilometers an hour. That's the highest I was able to go. Above 100 kilometers an hour, I wasn't able to go a lot above 100 kilometers an hour. So this is what I have so far when it comes to this motorcycle. But one remarkable thing is the braking system. It brakes pretty good. So this is one of those motorcycles that will really reduce accidents on the road in terms of braking. Look at this finish here when it comes to the speed. See, look at the seat. This is the footrest for the passenger. There, very sturdy footrest. Much better than some of those footrests you have on very more expensive and well-known brands. I've driven this motorcycle. I want to compare this to a Mio, because a Mio is pretty much expensive than this motorcycle. But when it comes to the performance, apart from the speed, I don't see how the Mio beats this motorcycle. To be candid, this one has a lot more of space, a lot more of comfort, a lot more of security when it comes to the braking and all of that than a Mio. But since a lot of people know that a Mio has this security in terms of you can get parts easily, you can also the durability, yeah, it can last for long. But this one, people don't know yet how long it will last before it start giving you some kind of problems. That's also one disadvantage of getting a motorcycle that you really don't know much about. Okay, and here, this is the brakes. Pretty very good brakes, right, for a motorcycle of its price. And here, once you put in, the keys are in. Put in your keys, you can start. Easy. There, you start. It starts. One push, it starts. So this has not been timed yet properly, so because of the idling is very high, because it hasn't been timed properly. You need to bring it back to the factory to have them time the idling. Okay, and then once you see, it has a beautiful light. You got here the light up and light down. You also have here for the signal lights, which works pretty good. Looks very sturdy, big enough for anybody's fingers to be able to recognize. It comes with a horn which is not pretty the best. It's a very small horn like those on many other regular motorcycles. Yeah, very small horn. You can upgrade that. That would be something that I would love to upgrade. Is the horn is not very good for me. And there is a side stand and also a double stand. It comes with a side stand and a double stand. And one good thing is there is a sensor on the side stand, which means that if I want to switch off this motorcycle, I will just push the side stand down. On the side stand here, I'll just push it down and the motorcycle stops. As easy as that. So there are some features that have been inculcated into this motorcycle that are pretty good. Okay, so one next thing I want to show us is this on the FEKON motorcycle. Guys, please, I just want you to understand that I'm an independent reviewer. I'm not reviewing these motorcycles on behalf of FEKON motorcycle or to promote their business in some way. Maybe it goes ahead to promote their business, but it is according to my own experience that I have with motorcycles. I just want to let someone who maybe wants to buy a motorcycle go ahead and get it. You see the seat? It has a perfect seat for someone who wants to ride on a long ride. The seat is pretty good, pretty soft, pretty comfortable. For a shorter person or longer person, you also have here, there is a storage box that can carry a helmet, one helmet, and maybe other small things you can put it inside. And it comes with a gas tank of 6 liters. 6 liters means that someone who uses, you put in here about I think about 250 to 260 pesos, it's already gonna give you a full tank. And surprisingly, the consumption on this motorcycle is so good. It goes about 30 something kilometers per liter. So 1 liter will take you and go about 30 something kilometers, which is pretty remarkable. It is pretty good. So with the 250 pesos, you're really gonna use that for very long before you change it, which is one nice thing I like about a motorcycle too. So all in all, I'll be letting you see the road performance, which I've already done, and you can check the road performance. It is a wonderful motorcycle, wonderful piece of thing that I will encourage anybody who wants to get theirs. You can go ahead and try drive. Why not ride test? And so you'll be able to see if this really suits your taste of motorcycles. Don't forget, this is a review for the FEKON REV X 125. It's a 125 displacement engine motorcycle, so you should not be expecting too much from this motorcycle. It just gives you mid-range of everything that you want. It doesn't give you complete, because for someone who likes speed, this thing will not give you 100 and above. The highest I've been able to run on this motorcycle was 100 kilometers per hour. So if you want 120, 130, this is not the motorcycle you should get. You should go for something else, something bigger. So ciao guys. When you run this motorcycle in the city, it feels pretty good. Pretty good. You can have the feeling of a maxi scooter while riding this motorcycle. You feel like you're riding a very big motorcycle, even though it is 125cc. So for the handling is pretty perfect. Perfect handling. Good for older person, good for younger person. But take note guys, the perfect speed for this motorcycle is 90 kilometers per hour. If you push it beyond limit, it goes to 100. 100 is the highest that I've done so far. And the best speed is 90. For the fast runners, 90 will be your best speed here. So if you want something that goes 120 kilometers per hour or 130, I don't think this is a perfect motorcycle for you. Digital gauge for your fuel. Digital, you can also set the time, have time showing on the board. riding this motorcycle pretty much feels like you are doing like a maxi scooter. It pretty much has the feel of an NMAX. So one feature that is also very evident here is that this motorcycle is very true to the speed. So if you are really running a 60 kilometers per hour, it gives you an exact 60 kilometers per hour when it comes to the speed. Because the discrepancy on some motorcycles is that it's going to show on the board, gives you about 100 kilometers or 110, but the true speed of it is really not up to 110 if properly measured. So this motorcycle is very true to speed. Running at a 60 kilometers per hour, you can feel how fast it goes. So it's really true to its speed. There's no discrepancies as far as speed is concerned on this motorcycle. The speed is really quite exact. It is pretty much what you see is what you get. You get one of this, a good 71,000 or 75,000 well spent. Depending on, you have to also do a registration for it, if you will get it, and things like that. So the amount will not be maybe 71, 72, no, it's gonna go a little bit above that amount. So on bumpy roads, you won't feel like you are going to have an abortion. It really runs good, actually. And you cannot hear the noise from the flarings, because some motorcycles have a very bad reputation in terms of the flarings. The flarings are very noisy, but this is not the case with this motorcycle when it is brand new. So I cannot tell what happens when it gets old, but for the brand new experience, it is very quiet, and the flarings are very firm, so you won't be hearing some funny noises coming from the flarings. So it's pretty good experience from FEKON Motorcycles, FKM. It's a pretty good experience riding some Chinese premium or high-end scooter. It gives you too much for very reasonable amount. So these are pretty much affordable motorcycles. So the acceleration of it is pretty good. It accelerates smooth. And the exhaust has this nice muffler sound that doesn't disturb the environment. For those who like a quiet motorcycle, this is pretty the deal. Pretty much the deal for people who love quiet motorcycles like me. If I'm riding anything on the bone, it should be quiet. If it's a big bike, okay, it can make a pretty nice muffler sound, which is reasonable. But for smaller bikes, I prefer them quiet.